Good morning. I'm Candace Gourdain, and this is Fitness and Harmonies. Yoga for ageless wisdom, but also for shoulder and arm strength and mobility. Our shoulders often are hurt or injured because of other things in our body. For example, if our hamstrings are very tight, it pulls the hips backward, and it might pull one hip, making the spine twist or curve a little bit, so one shoulder may be always a little bit further forward than the other one, and then we go to lift that arm, we'll get that impingement. So it's not always just bad shoulder mechanics. A lot of times it is the rest of the body. So tight hips or tight leg muscles coupled with weak abdominal muscles really is a recipe for other joints like the neck or the shoulders to compensate. So if we are going to strengthen the muscles around the arms or the upper back, for example, we have to move the arm in a healthy way. Otherwise, we're just compounding more problems and more impingement and potential injuries in the shoulders. So we're going to work with several items today. If you have any of these bands, these kind of latex bands, grab one of those. If you have a strap, that'll do almost as well for today what we're doing. But mainly the first thing we're going to work on is shoulder mobility and ageless wisdom. So yoga is made up of asanas or poses. So we're going to get into one of those asanas now, and that's just going to lay down in a moment. Give me a second to set this up so that we can move the shoulders around. So just notice that the shoulder blades are like two wings on your back. They can move out and in. They can protract, they can retract. There's two muscles in particular that you should maybe be able to picture or think about. One muscle is between the two shoulder blades. The rhomboid pulls the shoulder blades together. There's muscles on the outer edge of the shoulder blade attached to the ribs that pull them out. That's serratus anterior. So they retract, go in, protract, go out. Squeeze the shoulder blades in, open the shoulder blades out. So we're going to work on that. So picture the shoulder blades like two wings or hands moving in or out. We're going to use either a second rolled up mat. If you don't have that, get off of the mat that you're on and roll it up. You know, you can be on the floor. It's okay. It's allowed. If you have a roller, a foam roller though, preferably a longer one than this, that's even better. So if you have access to all of that, choose your apparatus and come down. We're going to put that thing down the back. We're going to sit or lay on the edge of that so that the roller or the mat is about at the sacrum level. And then it goes up in between the shoulder blades. Probably your head rolls off. So use a little blanket or a little towel or the yoga block just so that your head's not all the way cranked backward. This is important in general to keep the neck in line with the spine. Now this block, if you're looking at me, is a little bit too big for me. I probably should either have a smaller block or a pillow there so that my forehead is level. From here, I want you to roll your shoulders around until you feel the inner edge of the shoulder blade. And use that inner edge of the shoulder blade to pinch and then widen away from, let's call it that column, that thing in your back, the roller. So pinch the roller between the shoulder blades and then widen your shoulder blades out. So I want you to figure out the relationship. What do you do with your arms to make that happen? So take a second to move the shoulder blades in towards each other and then move them out. Now, do some flies where the arms go in and sort of across and then out. And I want you to recognize what happens with the shoulder blades when you do this. Chances are, I'm going to tell you, they spin in and they spin out. So a little bit of mobility in the shoulder blades is good, and that is what we want, but we don't want the shoulder blades to always do all of the movement. Sometimes we want the arm bone to move in the shoulder socket. So now hold, so the arm's up like Frankenstein. Hold the shoulder blades however they are. They should be mostly flat on the back, and then lift the arms up and down. So imagine the needle of a sewing machine. It goes up and straight down. Now the shoulder blade should also be up and down. This action is the action I want you to notice when we're in plank pose, downward dog, or really even warrior poses, that the shoulders are neither too far up nor too far back. They're somewhere in the middle. So find that middle and hold. Now holding the shoulder blades there, try lifting your arms sort of up overhead and then down towards the hips. The goal here is to move the arm bones in the shoulder socket without moving the shoulder blade. So even if you've not gotten any of my shoulder speech, what you're getting is a nice stretch on your pectorals, which in and of itself may be one of the major contributing factors to why your shoulder seems frozen and anything you do with your arms seems futile. How far up overhead can you go? When your arms go up overhead, I want you to squeeze your abdominals and pull your lowest ribs down like you're tucking a shirt in. So go down and up with the arms, yes. But when your arms go up overhead, pull the rib cage down like you're sliding the belly back into the spine. Now you may not be able to get your arms all the way up overhead. That's really very common. It's really very rare, at least from the people that I've met, that people can get their arms all the way up without letting the rib cage fly up. If you're letting your rib cage fly up, that means your spine is compensating for limited range of motion. All right, take the arms back into center. Now I want you to try circling the arms around. Once again, this is just a way to figure out what do my shoulder blades do in different movement patterns with my arms. Go the other way a few times. This is just an education. And what are my shoulder blades doing? This may already be a workout for all the muscles around the shoulders. Big ones, of course, are the deltoids on top of the shoulders. And latissimus dorsi on the back that do that pull down motion. Then just let the arms stretch out like a big letter T. And then close your eyes. Relax your arms, relax your shoulders. Inhale, Ujjayi, exhale. I want you to begin with a deep regard and appreciation for yourself and your prana. Prana is the life force that flows within us, through us, and outside of us. I want you to begin with a deep regard and appreciation for yourself, and also a wish for peace. When you're visualizing prana, visualize it like streams, like channels. Visualize this tube. You know how you're laying on a tube? Visualize a second tube, that's your spine. But it's big, going up and down the length of your body. Breathe up that tube. Breathe down. So yoga is something that you do and that you experience. It's not the poses, it's not even the prana. It's something you do. You unify all aspects of yourself. Do 3 of these slow breaths. No teaching or philosophy will ever replace the profound lesson of experience. All right, so then opening your eyes. If it's safe to roll off, roll off. If it's not, push off with your hands, and we'll take that mat out. If it was the mat you were using, it's safe now to roll it out and use it as a flat yoga mat now. Let's come around to hands and knees. In hands and knees pose, we're going to do the same action we just did. So far we've been doing a lesson in just how the shoulder blades move. So put this one on repeat and we'll do it a few more times. Do it on your own. Same thing. The arm is set into the shoulder socket, which is really the edge of the shoulder blade. So now take the chest and the heart and drop it down so that the shoulders and the arm bones kind of go up like pillars, and you've sunk between those 2 pillars. Then rise the chest and the heart up above the tops of the arm bones. So then go down and up so that the chest is going down up, again like the needle on a sewing machine. So we'll call this sewing machine so you can remember that. Nice and slowly. It's harder now to visualize what the shoulder blades are doing. Now I want you to notice your fingers and make sure that your fingers are pressing into the floor and you're not dumping the weight of your body into this heel of your hand. Now begin to notice as you're pressing through your fingers how that activates the forearm muscles and tendons, that tendinitises around the elbow. Keep your elbows just a little bit bent to keep the biceps and the triceps awake. So I'm going to give you some exercises today that you can do really. I'm going to use the band a little, but we can do it without the band. So I'm going to give you a mix of two types of exercises to strengthen the muscles around the arms and the shoulders. Now bring the back to level and hold. I want you to really dig in your fingers, like from the knuckle down to the tip. Really dig those in like you're trying to squeeze the mat with your hands. Really put a lot of energy into the fingers. Now spin the arm bones open so the head of the arm bone is turning out and then back, out and then back. Twisting the arm bone in its socket. If we were up and doing this with moving the arms, you'd see that very well. But it's hard when your hands are pressing down. Spin open and hold. Now brace the abdominals. Hold that. Hold the fingers pressing down. Hold the arms spun open. Hold the abs pulling in. Lengthen the spine through the neck. So the more that you experience yoga, the more that you experience flowing this prana, remember that was the life force, through the rivers and the channels of the body, the more the matter of your body comes into your consciousness, you're paying attention to it. The more you integrate all aspects of yourself, the more you see that there is a unified state of consciousness in everything. So prana isn't just me and it's not just you, it's everything. Push the hips back a little bit now, but walk one arm forward like you're reaching for something on the mat. That hand that you just reached forward, push it down and pull your shoulder back. Like a lat pull down, you know this one where we pull the arms down? You're going to pull the arm vigorously into its socket. You can come all the way down if that's okay, but usually that's that thing where I can't get my arm quite up. So maybe I have to stay up a little higher. Don't worry about that. We're just trying to activate the muscles. Now breathe smoothly. Keep putting pressure. Keep contracting around the shoulder. Do 3 more breaths. Keep squeezing. Keep coming to the experience that you're having in your body. It doesn't matter, even if I'm doing this right. What matters is what you're experiencing. And 1. Then we'll switch. Walk the other hand forward, push it down. Remember, make an impression with your hand into the mat, and then pull at the shoulder. Pull the shoulder back. Put a lot of pressure there. Part of consciousness is waking up neurologically, waking up the muscles. Remember, you are practicing today with a deep regard and appreciation for yourself. Keep pulling. Keep establishing mental, emotional, and of course, physical connection. 2 more slow breaths. Press the fingers down. Then we're going to come all the way back up, yikes, and come to a seated pose. Your seated pose is completely up to you. We're going to do more stuff with the arms and the shoulders. So your seated pose may be like a hero's pose like this, where you're seated on the block, or it may be Sukhasana, where you're seated on your hips or a blanket. I want you to grab a strap or a band. So a band if you have one. One note about the bands, if you already have it, you know which one you have. But the ones that are a darker color typically are a little stronger. They're a little bit harder to move, usually. I'm going to take the band and kind of scrunch it up. And then just bring the band out in front and roll those shoulders down and back and hold. Now do that same exercise we did. Remember we were lying on the tube And we're moving the shoulder blades out and together. Remember, the shoulder blades going out and together, out and together. But now that you have the band in your hand, I'll bet you're confused. So there's an integration of all the aspects of muscular interactions, and they need to talk to each other and figure out what they're doing when the other one is doing something distracting. Now hold the muscles in, mostly in, and down. Good. Leaving that there, see if you can lift your arms kind of up overhead. Notice how hard it is to do that, and then try to go, if you have to ease up, make this band longer so that you can do that, do that. Then swim the shoulders, that is, roll one shoulder, then roll the other shoulder, up, back, and down. Now you can put a little bit of pressure, pulling the band apart, or not. Remember that you uniquely have a unique set of circumstances going on in your body. Everyone is different. Remember that upper arm bone is spun open. Remember that? And you have to do this to understand this. Go the other way. So sometimes they call this flossing the shoulders. So I want you to imagine that you're taking this band, through the shoulders, and you're cleaning out the debris that's there. It doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter how much I'm doing or not doing. What matters is the profound experiencing you're having. Now hold the arms up. I want you to notice the difference now. Now lean the torso side to side. You notice that the arms are not changing, the shoulders aren't changing. They're not doing anything right now. Everything is the abs. So we're going to work on shoulder ab strength so that we can strengthen the arms, the biceps and the triceps. And keep noticing again and again your body's response to these movements. Keep the shoulders down. Notice how the shoulders want to creep up, almost like they're going to do something. 2 more times. Now we'll take the arms down in front, right? So use your hand to hold one end down and then scrunch up the other side. Now hold this end down and then rotate the arm bone out and back to center. Can you see what I'm doing? Out and back to center. Again, we're waking up that same set of rotator cuff muscles that are really so important for the plank poses and the chaturanga dandasanas that we do. Hold it out. Just hold. Hold the shoulder blade in place. Brace the abdominals. Slide the back of the head back and then release. Let's try the other side. So hold that down. Crunch up the band in the other hand. Now, if you don't have a band, you're going to have to sort of fake this one. The straps isn't really, you're going to use both arms, I guess. Rotate the arm bone out and then back to center. Rotate out and back to center. You have to have healthy shoulders in order to work the biceps and the triceps and the other arm muscles. Keep the elbow sort of pinned into the side waist. Don't let it come all the way out. We're not flying the arm out. That would work more into the upper back. We're trying to move right into the back of the shoulder. Now hold the arm back and hold. Keep pinning the tips of the shoulder blades onto the back. Don't let them wobble up off of the back. Slide the belly backward into the spine and then release. Let's put that strap down and take a stretch for a moment. Let's take the arm across and then push it across. You should probably feel that. Now let your head wobble away from the shoulder that you're stretching. Forward and back. Twist the head down and a little bit up. In so many of the yoga poses, we look up. And I tell you, look up past the fingers. I say that a lot. What we're really doing is spinning usually the ribs open. We're not doing that now though. So notice how hard it is to spin your head up. Not really something that you have to learn to do. Come all the way up and we'll switch to the other side. First pull the arm across. Tip the head over and bobble your head forward and back. A lot of times that upper trapezius starts to take over and you start feeling that in the upper back and into the neck. We do shoulder exercises. The upper trapezius is a big muscle. Then twist your head to look down and gently up. Be careful. Again, when you go to lift up, Notice you really do have a limited range of motion. So whenever I say in a yoga pose, twist to look up, I mostly mean spin the whole ribs. But because of limited motion in the spine, a lot of times we wind up overstressing the neck and the shoulders. Come all the way up. Let's come into child's pose. So flip and press back and down. Circle your wrists around. Wave your wrists, your hands forward and back. There's many, many little muscles and tendons on the forearm. When we do the plank poses and the downward dogs, we sort of overwork those a little bit too much. Even if we were holding a dumbbell, a hand weight, sometimes we overwork, we over-tense these muscles. So let them stretch forward and back. In fact, let's come up to hands and knees. I want to make sure we stretch those. I want you to take one hand and spin it around the wrong way and put it down and then lean a little back. Just a little. You'll feel that immediately. Pranic. Prana is the sound. It's the color. It's the vibration. It's the life. It's the light. And then we'll go to the other hand. So give that hand a break. Spin the other hand around, backward. Lean a little bit back. Stop when you feel something. Give that prana. Pranayama is the discipline. It's establishing harmony. One more, pranayama. And then we're going to move into downward dogs. We're going to do that by pressing the fingers down, lifting the hips up, pushing the body weight back. Once you get there, let's do that same sewing machine. Do you remember this? The chest goes between the arms and above the arms. All we're really doing is retracting and protracting shoulder blades. Shoulder blades pinned together behind you, then they widen and wrap around the sides of the ribs. Squeeze them together, widen them out. Squeeze them together. If you're not getting this, you're like everybody else right now, right? I don't get this. What do you want me to do? Don't worry about it. Just try moving your shoulder blades, then establish center. So come back. Hold the shoulders steady. Now drape your head down. Now press the thumb down hard, almost like you're spinning your hand downward into the floor. Now squeeze your shoulders and arms. From here, look forward a little, just a little, then bend your elbows like you're going to bring your nose down to the floor and then straighten your arms. Okay, I don't want to do this. I'm going to come down to the knees, right, and kind of do it from there. Bend the elbows, push. The elbows are going to flare out a bit to the side, a little bit towards the hips. So bend and up. So you can come down to hands and knees. No judgment here with how you're doing this. But what I want you to notice is that you're pushing through the hands to come back up. Pushing through the hands to come back up. Using the back of the arm, the tricep. Come back into downward dog. So if you've come down, come back up. Stretch into the back of the hamstrings. Push back. Then step forward as many steps as you want to come to forward fold. Give this some pranayama. Yama is discipline or control. We all want yama in our lives. We all want some control, that things are going the way we intend them. So prana is the life force. I want life to flow through me in a controlled and disciplined and very useful patterned way. 3 slow breaths. Shining that prana. Walk your hands to your knees and roll up. Consciously now contract the abdominals. Can you still see me when I stand up? Let's turn side. Widen the legs. Then from there, spin one foot to the short edge of the mat. Spin the other leg a little bit in. So one's directly forward, one's a little bit in. Then bend this front knee and pause there. Okay, here's what I was talking about. Let's stretch the arms out. I'm not going to tell you to ignore the legs, but we're not focusing on the legs. They're there, right? They're just, we're not looking at them. If I were to tell you to extend backward, notice that that's happening from the waist. So do a couple of these, an airplane banking kind of thing. The wing of the airplane doesn't go up. That's not how it works. It's the whole airplane that moves together. So notice that really what we're doing is we're moving around the waist. And if we were to go forward, it's not the waist, but now it's the hip. So my back hip is going up. So notice none of this is the arms. The arms are just stretching out wide. So do a little forward and back action. It's the waist when you go back. It's the hip when you go forward. Waist to the back, hip. Really get that hip. I see a lot of people who don't want to move their hip. Let that hip move. I'm going to put that in a GIF. A GIF there is moving there. That's good. Then come up, spin to the front. Here's where the shoulders pull back and go forward. Pull back and forward. So the hips just turn to the front. Little bend in the front knee. Floss those shoulders. Now pull halfway back like you're holding on to something and you're rowing. Then straighten the front leg. Hinge at the hip. Dive forward. I'm going to bring my hands to my thighs. That's enough for me today. All right, both legs are mostly straight, but neither leg is fully locked. There's just a little bit of a bend there, just a little bit. Now really brace your abs and strengthen around your low back. Take the arms out and down. So we're flying the arms and shoulder blades back and release. Keep the neck straight. Don't turn to look at me. And don't really look up. Keep the back of your neck long and uncreased. Keep pulling the navel into the spine. 3, 2. Now hold the arms up and little pulses up, little squeezes. They're really waking up that upper back. Keep the top of the shoulders open. Don't crunch inward. 3, 2, and 1. Now bend the front knee, push off it, use your hands. Let's come up and we'll spin the other way. So remember, one foot turns all the way, 90 degrees. The other one comes in about 45 degrees. You might shimmy. These legs further apart this time. Bend the front knee. Hips, ribs square. Stretch the arms out. Do you remember this? I can't get this one straight. There we go. So if I were to lean back, the waist is curving. If I were to tip forward, that hip is lifting. Waist back, hip forward. Feel that. Doesn't matter what I show you. It doesn't matter how many times I try to describe this to you. It's your experience. It's that profound being inside of you that's feeling something. Notice that your body has a response. And when you get this, you know you get this because you can feel the stretch. Now hold center. So bend that front knee. We'll do that spinning. Palms up, palms down and back. Palms up, down and back. Spin open, spin closed. All right, so palms down and hold. Turn to the front, so that's the hips turning. Do the thing where the shoulders go forward and back, cleaning out the shoulders, bracing the abdominals. Hold halfway, remember, like you're rowing or pulling. Then straighten the front leg, hinge at the hips, dive forward. For a moment, just keep the hands on the thigh. The goal is to stretch that hamstring. Now take the arms out and fly them back and kind of down. Fly them back, kind of down. Brace the abdominals. If your low back can't handle this, come back up. Don't put more pressure on your low back than you can handle. How do you know? It's hard. You feel like, I I can't do this anymore. The answer is you probably can't do this anymore. Do something simpler. Simplify it. Hold the arm bones back. Now squeeze the elbows in towards each other and then out. So from the front, it looks like squeeze in and out. Squeeze in and out. Squeeze. Here's that serratus anterior. Bring the hands to the knees. Roll back up. Come up. Turn to the short edge of the mat. Bring the palms together. So here we go. Here is the grand finale. Circle up. Extend back. Inhale up. Forward fold. You're breathing. You're flowing with prana. Step back to plank pose. Your plank pose is your plank pose. It could be hands and knees pose. It could be crocodile pose. But if you're on your hands, make sure you're pressing through your fingers. Brace the abdominals. Spin the arm bones open. Bring one hand right up under its chest, its pec. Then roll to the edges of your feet or your knee. Lift this other arm. Here you go. It's not just the arm is going up. It's that my hips and spine are turning to the side. From here, come down to your knee. Maybe come down to your hip. I don't know. Try bending this elbow that you're on and pushing it back up. So either you're all the way up, bending the elbow a few times, or you're on your knee, bending the elbow, or you're saying, none of this works, Candace. I think I'll go back to bed. Let's all come down to the hip. Take this top arm in front of you. Bend that elbow, put weight on it, on this front arm, and straighten. Bend that elbow and straighten. Don't worry if you don't think this is perfect. All we're doing is a modified kind of push-up, integrating all aspects of the arm. So don't worry if this seems like it's not really doing much. It's doing enough. Hover, hover, hover. Widen the shoulders. Keep those triceps really active. And then push up. Come back around into plank pose. So use your time wisely here. Come to plank, hands, or elbows, or knees, or belly. Now spin the other arm bone open. Walk it to the center. Turn to the sides of your feet. Spin your body. Remember, the arm is only just it's just sort of an expression of what the body is doing. Stay here, or probably come down to the knees. Stay there, or maybe come to the hip. But try bending this bottom elbow and pushing up. Bend that elbow and push up. You really, really need strong shoulders for this. Bend and lift. One more time. Bend, lift. Let's come down to the hip. Twist and bring this front arm to the floor. Put weight on that front arm. Then bend the elbow and push with this front arm. Bend the elbow and push. This is a really good example that in life things are not all 90 degrees. In yoga, most of the poses have everything's either straight or bent exactly. Now hover, so bend and hold. Good, and then push all the way up. Let's come around to a seated pose. We're already there. We'll grab the strap one more time. Grab the band one more time. I'm going to take the band behind the back. One arm up with the band, the other arm spins in around and grabs the tail. The top elbow comes in, and then we'll push up and bend down. How far down? You decide that. Maybe you stay working on the mobility of walking these hands together, or you work more on the strength of pushing the arm up. Slide your belly into the spine. Slide the soft palate, the upper roof of your mouth slightly back. Make sure, I'm doing this, make sure you're not cracking your wrist. Keep your wrist straight. And release. Let's switch to the other side. Other hand on top. The band hangs down behind you. Other arm spins inward. Grab the tail. Top elbow, both elbows in towards the middle. Maybe stretch, trying to get the hands close. And then try extending up and down. We're almost there, right? We're almost there. Remember your wrists. Don't let your wrists crack or break. Keep them straight, just like we would be practicing in plank pose or that side plank we just did. Notice your body's response. Give it prana. Last one here. And then release all the way out. Boy, you feel that. Let's come down to the back. Give yourself a big hug. Wrap the arms around. Actually use your hands to kind of squeeze the shoulders. If you're really hugging somebody, you'd kind of squeeze them, let you know you care. And then go the other way. Big hug. But take the hands, wrap them around the back of the shoulder, and actually squeeze the shoulder. We did quite a bit of work with those rotator cuff and the rear deltoids back there. Give yourself a big breath. And stretch the arms out wide. Tip the knees and hips off to one side. Now spiral your breath all the way up and down that channel, the funnel of the spine. The ageless wisdom of yoga is that there's a magnetic force that pulls you in, pulls you, into your spark, into your light, into your prana. And this magnetic force pulls us all in. All the light, all the matter, all the sound, all the vibrations, everything is drawn in. Let's go to the other side. Hips and knees spin to the side. Breathe everywhere. Fully saturate the interior surface of your lungs. And then move back to center. Hug your knees into the chest. Push the low back into the floor. This is called Apanasana. I know that's a lot of syllables that probably doesn't sound like much to you, but Apana is downward force. So prana is upward force. It's what enlivens and lifts. It's the dawn of consciousness. But Apana is like going down into darkness, down into sleep, down into repose. Asana is the physical postures that we do to unify. Stretch out into Shavasana, Shava, the body. Close your eyes. Sink down. I want you to imagine that your body is like a musical instrument. And the lengths of the muscles and the tendons and the tissues cause different energy frequencies. We call those like notes in music. And I want you to imagine that the purpose of stretching and strengthening and breathing is to return this musical instrument in tune, so that when you carefully adjust the lengths of the muscles and the tendons and all of the tissues, what you're really doing is reharmonizing. So when you breathe in, breathe out now, no matter how soft or gentle, you're playing a song. I want you to listen. Listen to your body. If the feelings in your body were like notes, what would be the song? Light is also simply vibration, frequencies of vibration. It's just a higher frequency than sound. So if you were to go up from the sound of the body into the light patterns of your mind and body, same thing. What colors are vibrant, are saturated, are luminous, are clear? Recognize that behind every eye shining toward you, there is the light. The light behind every eye shines toward you until you no longer disregard you no longer refuse to have appreciation for that light. And it begins to feel like there's one unified light. So all the tuning that we did in my body, your body, his body, her body, is really fostering an intimacy with the bigger musical instrument. You hear it in nature. You feel it in art. Just let your body resonate and hum to that beautiful sound. Breathe in, breathe out. Nothing difficult, just harmony. Again. Good, so now make your way onto your side. Push all the way up back into a seated pose. Yeah. Bring the palms together, spread the shoulder blades out, then inhale and touch everything. As you exhale, gather all that light and funnel it into your heart where it then shines to you. Namaste.